Welcome to the BI channel where data meets decisions. Today we're going to talk about a shift that's already underway, but most people still describe it with the wrong vocabulary. For years we've been obsessed with who has the most data, who has the biggest AI budget, who has the best tech stack, who has the most impressive demos. But over the next decade, that's not going to be the clean dividing line. The real divide is simpler and sharper. Who can turn intelligence into an edge? Who can convert signals into decisions faster, more reliably, and more responsibly than everyone else? That capability is what I'm calling intelligence advantage. And I want to be clear, this isn't a hype term for using AI. It's not a fancy way of saying we built some dashboards. Intelligence advantage is a capability, something you build, something you operationalize, something you measure by outcomes, not intentions. So in this episode, we're going to unpack three things. First, what intelligence advantage really is and what it isn't. Second, what it looks like as a system you can build with 4 pillars that hold it up. Third, why it matters at 3 levels: nations, organizations, and individuals. If you're a leader, a builder, a policymaker, or just someone trying to stay relevant as the world changes fast, this is for you. Let's start with a simple question. When you hear the word intelligence, what do you picture? Some people think of espionage and national security. Others think of IQ tests. In business, it sometimes gets reduced to reports, KPIs, analytics. But the kind of intelligence we're talking about today is practical. It's operational. It's the kind that shows up in decisions, especially the hard ones made under uncertainty. Here's a working definition. Intelligence advantage is the ability to take information, analytics, AI, and human judgment, and convert all of that into better decisions at scale. Better decisions, not just more insights. At scale, not just one heroic win from a smart team on a good day. And notice what I did not say. I didn't say it's about collecting more data. Plenty of organizations are drowning in data. They have data lakes that became data swamps. They have tools no one trusts. They have reports no one reads. They have analytics teams producing slides that arrive after the moment has already passed. So if intelligence advantage isn't more data, what is it made of? There are 3 qualities that make it visible in the real world. If you want a quick diagnostic, listen for these 3 words: speed, clarity, and consistency. First, speed. How quickly can you sense what's happening, interpret what it means, and act in a coordinated way? Not just how fast can a model run, but how fast can the organization move from a signal to a decision to action. Speed is the difference between catching a supply issue before it hits customers and explaining it after the fact. Second, clarity. How well do you actually understand your environment? The risks you face, the opportunities you can take, the trade-offs you're making. Clarity is the difference between being busy and being correct. It's being able to say, here are the few things that matter right now, and here's why. Third, consistency. How reliably do you make high-quality decisions across teams, across regions, across time? Because a couple of smart moments aren't a strategy. Consistency is what turns pockets of excellence into an organization-level advantage. And these 3 qualities are connected. Speed without clarity becomes chaos. You move quickly, in the wrong direction. Clarity without speed becomes irrelevance. You understand what's happening after everyone else has already acted. And without consistency, you get uneven performance. One team is brilliant, another team is guessing, and the organization can't compound its learning. So that's the core idea. Intelligence advantage is a decision advantage. A repeatable, system-level decision advantage. Now let's zoom out and place this in the bigger timeline. Over the last several years, the big storyline has been digital transformation, cloud migration, platform modernization, automation, data warehousing, collaboration tools, cyber upgrades. And yes, that era mattered. It created the foundations for what comes next. But digital transformation was heavily focused on tools. What software are you running? Where is it hosted? What systems did you modernize? Which workflows did you automate? Those were important questions. But the next era is less about the tools and more about the capability the tools enable. Think of it like this. Buying gym equipment doesn't automatically make you strong. Installing software doesn't automatically make you intelligent. You can have the best tools in the world and still make slow, inconsistent, low-trust decisions. That's the difference between digitizing a process and building an intelligent system. So as we look toward 2035, competition will increasingly center on things like the quality of an organization's decision systems, the maturity of its governance, the sophistication of its AI co-pilots, and the strength of its ethical foundations. It will come down to whether intelligence is embedded into everyday workflows, not showcased in a quarterly presentation. It won't be, do you have AI? Because almost everyone will have access to AI. It will be, do you have an intelligence operating system? Do you have a way of converting reality in near real time into coordinated action and doing it repeatedly? And that's why the winners won't treat intelligence like a side project. They'll treat it like infrastructure, like electricity, like logistics, like finance. Something the organization depends on, something that is maintained, governed, improved, and trusted. All right, let's get practical. If intelligence advantage is a capability, what's it built from? What are the components? I want to lay out an architecture with 4 pillars. If one is missing, the system gets fragile. It might still work on a good day, but it won't hold under stress. Pillar 1 is intelligence infrastructure. This is the backbone that moves insight to action. It includes real-time or near-real-time data pipelines, analytics layers, AI engines, simulation tools, and the decision systems that put intelligence into the hands of people who need it at the moment they need it. This pillar is where many organizations think the whole story ends. They say, we need a better data platform, or we need to centralize data, or we need a new AI model. Those can all be true. But infrastructure isn't just storage and compute. It's the end-to-end flow. Sensing, interpreting, deciding, acting, learning. Here's a simple contrast. In one organization, a market shift shows up next month in a report. In another, it shows up this afternoon because pricing signals, customer behavior, and competitor moves are monitored continuously, and exceptions trigger immediate analysis. That second organization doesn't just have more data. It has a nervous system, or take operations. One company learns about a quality issue after customers complain. Another sees an early pattern in returns, support tickets, and sensor data from production, and adjusts before it becomes a crisis. Again, not magic. It's infrastructure designed for decision speed. But infrastructure alone doesn't create intelligence advantage, because an organization can have a powerful engine and still not use it. Which leads to Pillar 2. Pillar 2 is governance and trust. This part is less glamorous, but it's the difference between intelligence that changes outcomes and intelligence that gets ignored. Because without trust, intelligence collapses. If teams don't trust the data, they won't use it. If leaders don't trust the models, they'll override them. If customers don't trust outcomes, they'll leave, complain, sue, or vote for regulation that shuts the whole thing down. Governance is the rulebook and the accountability system. It answers questions like, where did this data come from? Who is responsible for its quality? Who is allowed to access it and why? How do we audit the model? How do we detect drift? How do we handle exceptions? What happens when the system fails? And it will fail sometimes. That's not pessimism. That's reality. Models degrade. Environments change. Data pipelines break. Metrics get gamed. The best governance doesn't assume perfection. It assumes fallibility and builds safeguards anyway. This is also where many organizations struggle with the human side. Think about a sales leader who doesn't trust the forecast model because it's been wrong before. Or a frontline manager who doesn't trust performance metrics because they don't reflect the real work. Governance is how you rebuild that trust. Not with slogans, but with traceability, transparency, and accountability. Now, Pillar 3, which is going to matter more and more as AI becomes embedded in core decisions. Pillar 3 is ethical intelligence. There's a mindset shift here. Ethics is not just compliance. It's not a checklist at the end. It isn't something legal reviews after the system is already deployed. Ethics becomes a source of advantage because trust becomes a source of speed. Let me say that again. Trust becomes a source of speed. If regulators trust your systems, approvals happen faster. If customers trust your decisions, adoption is easier. If employees trust how decisions are made, they align rather than resist. That means less friction, less escalation, fewer scandals, fewer rollbacks. In a world where AI-driven decisions touch hiring, lending, healthcare, security, education, insurance, and public services, legitimacy becomes a form of power. Organizations that can explain their systems, demonstrate fairness, reduce harm, and operate transparently won't just avoid risk. They'll gain the right to operate at scale. And by 2035, I think we'll see a separation between organizations that treat ethics as a defensive posture and those that treat it as part of their intelligence design. The second group will make better decisions because the decision process includes second-order consequences. It includes what happens next, not just what happens now. Now, Pillar 4 ties the whole thing together in day-to-day work. Pillar 4 is human-AI collaboration. The strongest organizations won't simply be the ones that automate the most tasks. Automation will be widespread. The real advantage will come from how well an organization blends human judgment with machine capability, smoothly, safely, and with the right handoffs. This is where people get nervous. They hear AI and think replacement. But in most high-stakes environments, you don't want full autopilot. You want a co-pilot. You want systems that enhance human decision-making, surface options, run simulations, catch anomalies, and reduce cognitive load, while humans bring context, values, strategy, and responsibility. But the relationship has to be designed. You want people to know when to rely on the model, when to challenge it, and how to interrogate it. You want AI to be good at what it's good at: pattern recognition, speed, scenario exploration. And you want humans to remain accountable for goals, trade-offs, and consequences. So if you're a leader listening, here's a quick self-check. Are your people using AI tools like a novelty, something they dabble with when they have time? Or is AI actually embedded into their workflows in a way that makes them consistently better? Do they know how to ask good questions, validate outputs, and apply results responsibly? Because in the intelligence era, it's not enough for a company to have AI. Your people have to know how to work with it. And your systems have to support that collaboration without creating confusion, risk, or dependency. So those are the 4 pillars: infrastructure, governance and trust, ethical intelligence, and human AI collaboration. Now let's step out of the organization and talk about what this means at the national level, because intelligence advantage isn't just a corporate story. Nations are going to compete on intelligence capacity the way they once competed on industrial output. The ability to operationalize intelligence at scale will shape standards, influence markets, attract talent, and pull capital in or push it away. And this is important. The advantage won't necessarily belong to whoever invents the most. Invention matters, of course, but the real winners will be the ones who turn invention into routine capability, who can continuously convert intelligence into action, policy, services, security, innovation, and economic productivity. Different regions will likely develop different flavors of intelligence advantage, shaped by culture, regulation, infrastructure, and priorities. In parts of APAC, we're already seeing momentum around real-time intelligence ecosystems, fast feedback loops, high adoption of digital services, and strong integration into daily life. When intelligence is embedded into the way people move, pay, communicate, and access services, you get a kind of societal operating rhythm that favors speed. Europe is positioned to be a leader in ethical intelligence and regulatory frameworks. Some people misunderstand that and assume regulation is automatically a brake on innovation. But rules can also become a blueprint. If Europe defines the standards that global organizations must follow, that influence becomes its own kind of power. In a world hungry for trustworthy AI, being the region that exports governance can be an advantage. North America will likely continue pushing innovation and autonomous systems, especially where venture ecosystems, research universities, and large-scale platforms accelerate experimentation and deployment. The upside is capability. The risk is uneven governance. The opportunity is to pair innovation speed with trust-building discipline. Latin America has a huge opportunity to democratize intelligence for small and mid-sized businesses. Instead of concentrating advanced decision tools only in the biggest firms, the leap could be making intelligence accessible. Simpler tooling, better education, localized models, and industry-specific co-pilots that actually work in real conditions. That kind of diffusion can change economic resilience. Across Africa, we may see leapfrogging mobile-first intelligence infrastructure that bypasses legacy systems and builds modern capabilities from the ground up. We've seen versions of this story with mobile money and digital services. The intelligence version is about building decision systems designed for the realities on the ground: connectivity variability, local languages, regional logistics, and community-based trust. The headline is that the global balance of power will tilt toward the regions that can convert intelligence into action repeatedly, not occasionally. The advantage won't belong to whoever has the flashiest demo. It will belong to whoever operationalizes the best. Now let's bring it inside the organization again, because this is where many of you are listening from. What does intelligence advantage mean for companies and institutions trying to win markets and survive disruption? It means the gap between leaders and laggards will widen in a new way, not just in revenue, but in responsiveness, in resilience, in how quickly they learn, in how quickly they can reconfigure. And I want to draw a bright line here. Building intelligence advantage is not the same thing as launching a few dashboards or running a handful of AI pilots. Dashboards can be useful. AI pilots can be valuable, but they're not the system. A pilot is a test, not a transformation. A dashboard is a view, not a decision. Dominant organizations will build decision systems that are embedded into work. Intelligence will be routine, not rare. Here's what routine intelligence sounds like in practice. Pricing updates aren't decided in a monthly meeting. They're guided by continuous signals and guardrails. Risk isn't reviewed only in quarterly governance cycles. It's monitored, simulated, and acted on continuously. Customer experience isn't improved only after a survey. It's adjusted based on live patterns. Workforce planning isn't reactive. It's scenario-driven and aligned to strategy. When intelligence becomes routine, something else happens. The organization starts to compound learning. A decision is made, results are tracked, models are updated, policies are refined, and playbooks evolve. Over time, you don't just move faster, you get smarter. That compounding effect is where advantage becomes hard to copy. On the flip side, organizations that don't make this shift will watch competitors outpace them. Not because the competitors are more digital, but because they consistently make better calls faster. Better calls about where to invest, what to stop doing, how to allocate talent, how to respond to threats, and how to capture opportunities before they become obvious. So what does leadership look like in this era? Because if the game is decision advantage, leadership can't just be about vision statements and org charts. It has to be about decision architecture. Leaders in the intelligence era need to understand how decisions actually get made in their organization. Not how they're supposed to get made, not how it looks on a slide, but how reality works. Where do signals come from? Where do they get lost? Who has the authority to act? What incentives distort the truth? Where does fear slow things down? Where does bureaucracy mute urgency? Leaders will need to collaborate with AI copilots as a normal part of work. That doesn't mean delegating leadership to machines. It means expanding leadership capacity, using AI to explore scenarios, pressure test assumptions, synthesize complexity, and surface blind spots, then applying human judgment to choose a direction and own the consequences. Leaders will also need to manage ethical risk as seriously as financial risk. Because in the intelligence economy, ethical failures aren't just moral failures. They're operational failures. They break trust, trigger scrutiny, slow deployment, and create lasting brand and talent damage. If your intelligence systems make decisions that people perceive as unfair or opaque, you don't just get bad PR. You lose operating speed. And leaders will need to orchestrate intelligence flows across teams, functions, and geographies. One of the biggest obstacles to intelligence advantage is fragmentation. Every team builds its own metrics, its own models, its own definitions, its own pipelines, its own source of truth. That creates conflict and slows decisions. Leaders will need to drive coherence without killing innovation. Finally, leaders will have to lead people whose work is increasingly augmented by automation. That changes management. It changes performance expectations. It changes training. It changes what good looks like. The job is less about memorizing information and more about framing problems, evaluating options, and making sound judgments under uncertainty. In other words, the leaders of 2035 won't be defined by charisma alone, and they won't be protected by hierarchy. They'll be defined by intelligence fluency, the ability to ask the right questions, interpret signals, challenge recommendations, and turn insight into coordinated action. Let's make this even more tangible with a few quick examples of what intelligence fluency looks like in a meeting. Instead of asking, "What does the dashboard say?" a fluent leader asks, "What changed? Why did it change? And what would we do if it changes again next week?" Instead of saying, "The model recommends option A fluent leader asks, "What assumptions is that recommendation relying on? And where is it most likely to be wrong?" Instead of saying, "We need more data," a fluent leader asks, "What decision are we trying to make? What uncertainty matters most? And what signal would actually change our action?" Instead of treating ethics as an afterthought, a fluent leader asks, "Who could be harmed by this decision system? How would we know? And what guardrails are we putting in place before launch?" That's the kind of leadership that performs in an intelligence-driven world. Now, this conversation isn't only about nations and organizations. It's personal, too. Individuals can build intelligence advantage in their own careers, even if they don't control enterprise systems or national policy. So let's talk about you for a few minutes. What does personal intelligence advantage look like? First, it starts with learning to work with AI copilots instead of pretending they're not part of the job. If you're avoiding these tools because they feel intimidating or because you think they're a fad, you're opting out of a skill shift that's becoming basic literacy. You don't need to be an engineer, but you do need to be able to collaborate with these systems, to prompt effectively, to verify, to iterate, to use them as thought partners rather than vending machines for answers. Second, you have to strengthen decision-making skills. Information is cheap now. Opinions are everywhere. Summaries are instant. But judgment is not cheap. Judgment is the scarce skill. And judgment improves when you practice a few habits. Defining the decision clearly, naming constraints, identifying what would change your mind, considering second-order effects, and learning from outcomes rather than defending ego. Third, it helps to understand the basics of data and governance so you know what to trust, what to challenge, and what needs verification. You don't need to memorize technical jargon, but you should understand things like data can be biased, metrics can be gamed, models can drift, and accurate in one context can become wrong in another. If you can ask simple, sharp questions about data quality and accountability, you become a better decision partner. Fourth, build ethical awareness. Not in an abstract way, but in a practical, operational way. If you're designing, deploying, or even just using AI-driven systems, you need to be able to anticipate who might be left out, who might be misclassified, what incentives might cause harm, and how transparency changes trust. In a high-speed world, the people who can see consequences early are incredibly valuable. Fifth, keep sharpening strategic thinking so you're not just reacting to the next notification. The intelligence era can trap you in constant alerts. One more dashboard, one more metric, one more update, one more crisis. Strategy is what protects you from being pulled in every direction. Strategy is choosing what matters, what you will ignore, and what you will build over time. And let's be honest, this is uncomfortable, because it means your value won't be measured only by what you know. It will be measured by how intelligently you can act with what you know, especially under uncertainty. So if you want a simple personal challenge coming out of this episode, try this. The next time you face a complex problem, don't ask, "What's the right answer?" Ask, "What's the best decision we can make with what we know right now? And what's the fastest way to learn what we need to know next?" That one shift moves you from information seeking to intelligence building. Now, before we close, I want to return to the phrase that started us off. Intelligence advantage is becoming the new global currency. Currencies do a few things. They store value. They move value. They signal value. And in the coming decade, intelligence systems will do the same. They'll determine which organizations scale responsibly, which nations set standards, which leaders coordinate effectively, and which individuals remain adaptable. And just like financial systems, intelligence systems require infrastructure, governance, and trust. They require ethics, because legitimacy is what lets you operate at speed without backlash. And they require human collaboration, because judgment and accountability can't be fully automated away. So if you're listening and you're thinking, okay, what do I do with this? Here are a few closing questions to sit with. If you lead an organization, where are your decisions slow, unclear, or inconsistent? And what would it take to build an actual decision system rather than more reporting? If you work in strategy, operations, or product, what signals are you ignoring today because they're inconvenient or hard to measure? And how might that blind spot cost you later? If you're building AI, where will your system fail? Who will be harmed if it does? And how will you detect and correct it quickly? If you're early in your career, are you building skills in judgment, ethics, and collaboration with AI? Or are you hoping the world stays the way it was? Intelligence advantage isn't a slogan, it's a build. And the organizations and leaders who recognize that early, who treat intelligence as infrastructure and trust and ethics as foundations, will define the next era of global leadership. That's it for today. Thanks for spending this time with me on the B.I channel, where data meets decisions. Join me next time, and until then, keep turning signals into action. The B.I channel, where data meets decisions.